Захистити від руйнувань і знищення історичний центр можуть лише Збройні Сили України, лише небайдужі громадяни і лише наші союзники. Російська Федерація витерла ноги об міжнародне право.
Even if it's one building, even if it's only one side, this is legacy of a community. The buildings are compromised for more than 60% and even more than 80% to cope with the magnitude of such destructions and damages.
Hello and welcome to Ukrainian Flames, a special project by Ukraine Media Center and NGO Euro-Atlantic Course. And I'm your host, Matt Wickham. In today's episode, we will talk about the Russian Federation's genocidal war, which shows absolute no regard for UNESCO's World Heritage sites. If you want to learn more about this subject, please continue watching this video and don't forget to press subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our videos in the future. On the morning of July 23, an attack by Russia was unleashed on Odesa's historical Orthodox Cathedral, known also as the Transfiguration Cathedral. This significant structure, with a history dating back to 1809, endured destruction during the Soviet era, only to be reconstructed during Ukraine's independence. Calls for accountability have arisen. The Ukrainian Minister of Culture demands Russia's expulsion from UNESCO, holding them responsible for endangering citizens and heritage properties. Our first guest, Serhiy Hutsaliuk, head of the Southern Interregional Department of the Ukrainian Institute of National Memory on Odesa and civil activist, emphasizes that amidst Russia's heinous war crimes and disregard for UNESCO heritage sites, the only path to safeguard the world is by trusting the armed forces of Ukraine. Let's hear from more.
Нещодавний масований обстріл центра міста Одеси, в результаті якого було знищено декілька історичних будівель і пошкоджено більше 2 десятків інших, так само історичних будівель, російськими крилатими ракетами, показав всьому світу, що будь-яка сучасна організація, призвана захищати міжнародне право, абсолютно не має ніякої можливості захистити жертву від сучасного агресора, зокрема, в нашому випадку Російської Федерації. На жаль, всі папери, які підписувала Російська Федерація з поважною організацією ЮНЕСКО по збереженню пам'яток історії та культури, нічого не варті, а не варті тільки бажання Путіна, бажання його оточення знищити нашу державу, наш народ, наших людей. Захистити від руйнувань і знищення історичний центр можуть лише Збройні Сили України, лише небайдужі громадяни і лише наші союзники. Ніякі міжнародні організації, на жаль, цього зробити не можуть. Російська Федерація витерла ноги об міжнародне право. Російська Федерація є воєнним злочинцем, і її керівництво рано чи пізно має бути засуджено, як колись було засуджено керівництво нацистської Німеччини. І ми маємо фіксувати кожен цей злочин, визначати рівень збитків і в свій час через Міжнародний трибунал по воєнним злочинам отримувати за це компенсації. А сучасний расизм, як аналог германського нацизму середини ХХ століття, має бути засуджений на міжнародному рівні, щоб більш ніколи ні одна країна, ні один народ не міг на собі відчути, що таке расизм і що таке агресія сучасної нацистської, путінської, фашистської держави фактично.
Our next guest speaker, Chiara, Dezzi, Bardeski, head of UNESCO's desk in Ukraine, highlighted the importance of acknowledging the profound repercussions of war on communities. She emphasized that such destruction has a far-reaching impact, affecting historical significance and community values, pointing out that the harm to one part of a building can also extend to neighboring structures due to the magnitude of the damage and the shockwaves from the explosions. Let's take a listen to what she has to say.
The second observation is that beyond the individual, the punctual properties, the impact of these attacks has also affected sectors of the historic urban fabric, which are part, as I said, of the attributes of its nomination, meaning its outstanding values as property, as Odesa Historic Center, and which was nominated, as you know, in January 23. These sectors are often organized around public spaces, spaces which have been equally damaged, and in a way that are made of what we call minor vernacular, sometimes architecture feature, not per se listed, so not entering this list of heritage building of local or national relevance, but embedded with historic legacy and values for communities living in the areas. And we speak about tangible heritage, but when we speak about communities, we have also to consider the impact on living heritage, all histories, all values, community ties which are linked to this space, and also disruption of these practices that will be impacted in a way over time from now on due to this repeated attack. Additionally, structurally speaking, the damaged units are clustered. Often they shared walls, structural elements. So these structures are also collaborating together. So you can understand how the punctual damage on one building are affecting more widening in areas and neighboring building. And so this is another important consideration while looking at impact on the universal outstanding value of the site. Magnitude of impact and damage, if we look at these buildings, the mission during this time could verify in detail only 10 of these buildings, which were those more severely impacted, and some of them also of national importance, from this list that I mentioned. And for all these buildings that we visited, the majority are envisaged as severely damaged, meaning that the property is damaged more than 60% of this consistency, of this fabric, among which the Cathedral, and but also other buildings, among which, for instance, House of Scientists, Literature Museum, and to mention some of them. Another consideration is that due to repeated attacks, some of these historic buildings have become more vulnerable and therefore are at risk of significant damage caused by explosion shock and vibration if new attack will occur and it hit them.
In Odesa alone, the extent of destruction is evident in over 50 buildings, several of which have suffered severe impairment, reaching up to 60% compromise. Bardeski emphasized that while the numerical figures are significant, the real gravity lies beyond statistics. Even the damage to a single building carries profound implications for a nation's heritage, its history, and underscoring the tragedy that unfolds in such instances. Let's listen in detail.
As I mentioned, today the UNESCO verified damage, and I stress the word verified because damage are also all across the country, amount to more than 274 through all different categories. Historic and cultural buildings, monuments, archive, libraries, religious sites, museums, and also cluster urban spaces, sites more in general. In Odesa, as I mentioned, there is already a consistent, widespread recognition of damages, which it's around more than 50 specific buildings. Some of them, those which has been in particular visited by the UNESCO expert missions, are severe damages, meaning that the buildings are compromised for more than 60% and even more than 80%. So this is, but I would not focus on number only. I think it's very important also to take into account that even if it's one building, even if it's only one side, this is legacy of a community, a country, and worldwide, of all the entire community. So figures are very important, are important in particular to account for and for planning, prioritization of intervention. When we look also at the overall estimate, the Ukraine in particular has conducted as a joint effort, government, United Nations, World Bank, European Union, also a rapid damage and need assessment in February, where damage accounted and when UNESCO has been co-coordinating with Ministry of Culture the culture component of this report, and damages account for all the countries account to more than 2.5 billion. But the needs are almost 7 billion in the next 10 years. So this is where our focus also in terms of what next, what we can do should go. Because it's not only tangible heritage, but also how to reconstruct a fabric, how to support also capacity to cope with the magnitude of such destructions and damages. What can be done? Continue and certainly documenting, but with the finality of having clear costed plans, regularly updated, and to prepare in clear conservation plan, preventive plan, but repairs in time, this for sure one. So, and UNESCO is being already during the year and even last year deployed, beside this work of monitoring, experts and missions has been assisted in doing repairs. For instance, already in Odesa in 2022 for the Museum of Fine Arts, the Museum of Modern Arts, in Kiev 4 museums, mostly more damaged museums, were assisted with urgent repairs, but also in other regions, in Sumy, in Chernihiv, in Zhytomyr, Kiev region. UNESCO has been conducted assessment for more than 22 sites to initiate, also to have plans, stabilization, conservation plans, and to prepare for later plans. One of these currently is also the Skovroda Museum in Kharkiv region, where we are now working very closely with the ministry, Kharkiv authority, also in preparing the stabilization and the very urgent protection plans, which will serve also after to be launched to initiate these works. So there is a very operational part, what need to be done, and this is also what we did in other countries, like in Syria, like Sudan, like in Libya, for instance. But it's also very important work to continue in terms of marking sites, cultural and religious sites with the blue shields emblem, which give a recognition of their protection, and also to continue working within the framework of this convention to enhance the protection.
You've been watching the special project by Ukraine Media Center and Euro-Atlantic course, dedicated to the Russian-Ukrainian war, Ukraine in Flames. In the description under this video, you can find more information on how you can help Ukraine fight Russian aggression. If you like our work and find it useful, please like and share this video. Slava Ukraini!